Well, I did mention that we are joined in the studio by royalty, and as far as royalty goes in the sport of bowls, Andrew, it's not you.
Thank you, Jack.
But you are here for the course of the hour, and it's lovely to have your company. If you've just joined us, Barry Lester is not with us today, unfortunately, suffering from a nasty case of the man flu, and we wish Baz all the best, and we'll have him back next week. Bowls Australia CEO Neil Dalrymple joins us in the studio. Neil, lovely to see you this morning. Thanks for stopping by.
Yep, thanks, Jack, and good morning, Andrew.
Morning, Neil.
Now, it's been we haven't had a chance to talk to you in 2013 in the studio as yet, which is nice. So, in a time where I guess the summer period gets out of the way and there's so much that goes on in terms of outdoor events in the summer, we know that indoor's starting to become the in vogue thing for the next few months. But away from the greens, there's been a lot happening off the field, so to speak, as far as Bowls Australia is concerned.
Absolutely, Jack. Yeah, no, we've had lots to do. I think, and there's really no off-season anymore in bowls, and it's a bit like some of those other summer sports that it just continues 12 months of the year. So, a lot happening off the green.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, a couple of new board members. I'll talk to you about them both individually. One's going to join us a little bit later on in Wayne Turley, but Eugenie Buckley, we spoke to her a fortnight ago on Without Bias. She was a fascinating interview subject. I could have personally spoken to her for 15 or 20 minutes. Her knowledge of the sport, her CV, her credentials are as good as they could possibly be, and she said that you might have played a major role in just wooing her over to bowls.
Look, Eugenie, I've known her for quite a while. I have been to a number of conferences, been involved with the Australian-New Zealand Sports Law Association, where she's a member. And look, she is, as you say, Jack, great resume, obviously legally trained, which is always an asset to a board. But her sports management experience is exceptional, been involved in major events and, look, a good fit. And I was actually really surprised that when I rang her to ask her to join the board that she said yes immediately. So, hopefully that's a reflection on the organisation, her interest in bowls, and we've just got her at the right time.
Neil, while it's always great to have passionate people who are intricately involved in a sport on boards, it's a way major sports organisations are going now, isn't it, with board members who are effectively headhunted for the skills and expertise they bring to the table. Was there something in Eugenie's experience that sort of put a red flag up for you that you really thought she could contribute something unique?
I think coming out of the World Championships and having run that big event as an organisation, that was something. Her major event involvement was significant, but yeah, I think saying that the legal experience is something that is critical to a good mix of skills on a board, and having good gender equity too. We've got 3 females out of a board of 8 now, so that's important. Just getting that input from that side of it.
She's been exposed to TV and media rights with the ICC, and that excites me as a major cricket fan. I just wanted to talk to her about that for a long time, but I guess that's something going forward as well. Obviously, we've got this show very much up and running now, but to have her knowledge and to have her experience in terms of TV and how we can best syndicate the sport of bowls must be very handy as well. Yeah,
and look, we haven't had a lot of expertise within the board, within the staff. So, bringing Eugenie on board in that area, I'm sure she's going to have some great input about the mix of what we've got to offer to commercial partners.
From one board member to another, Eugenie obviously brings so much experience in terms of business and sport administration. Wayne Turley's a fascinating one for mine. Similar to what Andrew said, it seems now that a lot of sports boards are really trying to get some people involved who have had their hands dirty for a long time at absolute grassroots level and understand from a playing perspective, a coaching perspective, etc., etc. How important was it to get someone of Wayne's ilk who knows exactly what it takes to be successful?
Yeah, look, and he's a recent, Jack, he's a recent Australian representative. He's an active businessman. He's a bowls coordinator at a very successful bowling club in the southern suburbs of Sydney. Look, he ticks a lot of boxes, Wayne. He's also youthful when compared to perhaps, no disrespect to some of our board members, but they're not the wrong side of 50, perhaps, which in Wayne's case he's certainly a younger person. And look, I think it just gives, again, a very good diversity to the board, youth experience and good skills across the board.
Neil, I haven't sort of had a lot to do with Wayne in my relatively short time in the sport of bowls, but seeing him operate, if you like, for the want of a better term, at the Australian Sides Championships, where he was part of the successful Ali Shield winning New South Wales team, he's got a vibrant, contagious nature where there was a lot of young men and women involved in that New South Wales team and across the states, that you could actually just see respected Wayne for his experience and results in the game, as well as his business acumen and the way he sort of conducts himself. He's a very much a come along with me for the ride sort of guy.
And look, I like him as a person. He's a very calm, measured, and just a good approach. And I think he works well with people, and so he'll definitely be a good asset to the board and fit very, very well with the rest of the guys.
Bowls Australia CEO Neil Dalrymple is our very special guest here in the studio. Neil, the recent Hall of Fame and Awards night, which culminated in the Sides Championships as well, it was a great event. It was, unfortunately, didn't get the chance to get down there myself, but we've spoken to a number of people since on the show who just spoke so highly of the way that it was run and organised. How important, I guess, is it to have these sorts of events where people flock from all over Australia and then to get the feedback saying that they really enjoyed themselves?
Oh, look, it is very important, Jack. I mean, it's a great, to highlight the successes of the previous 12 months is important. Celebrate those and then reward people. I think I'm really pleased that we've done this over the last few years because it wasn't part of the calendar up until a couple of years ago. So now it's people are getting recognition and they're really just watching people accept their awards, young, older people. It's a great fill-up for those people.
Confirm or deny that Barry Lester won Best Dressed on the night. He did say that he scrubbed up pretty well.
Look, he always features in a few photos, Barry, and no, he was good. And look, I've seen a few after party photos too. So, but we won't go there. Hopefully, you're not listening, Barry.
Neil, a great part of that night was, and it's been a deliberate effort to have it during the Sides Championships where all the states come together, and to see the support of all the states buying tables and encouraging their players to attend and be part of a night where they see greats of the game get rewarded and recognised. Robbie Dobbins, a great example of someone who's still involved within the national team environment. It's great for that to be held at that time of year during that championships because of what it does to the younger players coming through.
Yep, I think the connection between the young and the old. I mean, Robbie said to me it was probably one of the highlights of his life. When you hear someone like that say that, it's just it's worth a worthwhile exercise. And then when you see the young people come up and hear that, then they can aspire to hopefully a long-term involvement in the sport.
That voice you're hearing at the moment is the CEO of Bowls Australia, Neil Dalrymple. Neil, we need to get to a break and we're going to come back. If you could be so kind as to stick around now that we've got you here, we might just see if we can get you to hang around for another 3 or 4 minutes. But we'll come back after the break. A couple of things that we need to talk about. Steve Glasson's overseas at the moment. We need to discuss that. We'll also talk about a new and very exciting innovation that's going to help communication between Bowls Australia and the clubs in general. So stick with us. More of Neil Dalrymple after the break.
From the wide outdoors to the great indoors, this is Without Bias with Jack Hebron and Barry Lester.
No Barry Lester, unfortunately. Man flu has struck him down, and Andrew Holmes from Bowls Australia is my very special co-host this morning. In a few moments' time, we'll catch up with a very, very interesting bowls club that's got a very, very interesting story to tell. I will not go any further until then, so stick with us. And Wayne Turley, new Bowls Australia board member and just one of the absolute out-and-out stars of the sport, will join us a little bit later on as well. But Neil Dalrymple, the Bowls Australia CEO, is in the studio with us this morning, and as we just devour the last part of our breakfast muffins, Neil, wanted to ask you a little bit about Steve Glasson, who is overseas at the moment, and no doubt we'll check in with Glass in the next couple of weeks, but he's over in Scotland at the moment, just getting a bit of a feel for conditions and everything that's going to be going on in Scotland, because now everything starts to really ramp up towards the Commonwealth Games.
Absolutely, Jack. And I think it's there's such unique conditions over in Scotland. They're heavy greens. I suppose just the whole lifestyle of Scotland is so significantly different than what our players are used to. So it is really important to do that due diligence and research about the conditions. And then Steve will certainly be able to impart that knowledge to the national squad.
Neil, there's been a great emphasis, obviously, through the Australian Sports Commission's focus on high performance across a lot of Olympic and Commonwealth Games sports. But in your time at Bowls Australia, I mean, obviously there's been a real spike in the effort and resources put into this area, and results came to bear in November last year in Adelaide with the World Championships. And again, I suppose the philosophy is to grow on that now and work towards, obviously, Com Games in 2014 and then obviously dominate, hopefully, in 2018 in Gold Coast.
look, we were lucky to have home ground advantage last year in Adelaide was significant and was very helpful to no doubt our performances, but. Yeah, the conditions completely changed. I mean, the Australian Sports Commission has been a great supporter of high performance, and the funding that we receive is imperative to us achieving success. So it's no different for Glasgow. This is a unique event. I mean, 2016, 2018 are going to be in New Zealand and at Broadbeach in 2018. So Southern Hemisphere, but this is the one in the Northern Hemisphere. And I know Steve, deep down, he wants to have a massive Commonwealth Games next year, 10 medals up for grabs, and he'll be keen to win as many of those as possible.
I guess looking forward to that as well, and we have spoken about this before on the show, but there's been a whole lot of time and resources in the last 24 months that have really been piled into development levels of the sport, and we see now with Australian A squads and the recent initiative with the Trans-Tasman as well, taking the under-18s and the under-25s over. But when you see the young success, and we only have to look at the Australian Open to see the success of the youngsters there, it must really justify where that money's going and, I guess, strengthening the sport going forward.
And I think, Jack, the key is the pathway is what's getting stronger now. So, I mean, the young talent coming through, with the guys that are in the national, the A squad, and then also the senior squad, they can see what it needs to take to get to the next step and the next level. And look, I'm really optimistic. We've got a good future ahead of us. And if you think of the next 6 to 10 years, Australia will be a powerhouse going forward.
What sort of focus, Neil, do I suppose you as the head of the organisation really put in, or what brief do you give to Steve and his staff there? Peter Brown, high performance coordinator, and the National Training Centre coaches right across. I mean, what is the brief in terms of developing? Is it finding out exactly who exists in the sport of bowls right across the country, not just the 18 or the 30 that they work with at the elite level?
Yeah, look, there's, I think scouring the country, given that there's so many bowlers out there, their brief is certainly to capture those people and bring them into the system, bring them into the fold so that we're not missing any talent. But I think one of the projects that we're looking at now is to profile what an elite bowler looks like.
Yep.
And that's also within the system, but potentially going forward it's outside, people from other sports that could transition with the right skills, transition into the sport and potentially be an Australian representative in quite a short period of time.
Now, we appreciate you coming in on a weekend, so we won't eat into too much more of your weekend time. But before
he's happy to be here, Jack.
I know.
I'm an early riser.
He's an AM operator, as am I, Andrew. I'm an AM operator, and so is Neil. We couldn't do this show if we were PM operators. But before we let you go, there's something that we'll no doubt announce in further detail in the next few weeks, where we will go official with it in terms of intricate details. But a really, really huge initiative that's about to kick off with Bowls Australia in terms of online communication.
Yep, and it is exciting, Jack, that the state and territories and Bowls Australia will be part of a system, I suppose, a platform which will enable us to be really connected, not only between the two levels of the organisation, but the whole country and the clubs also. It's important from an IT perspective, websites, competition management and a database system that will really unite the sport. So hopefully there'll be more details to come, but we're certainly working very hard towards that.
Now, we'll have more of that in the next couple of weeks as well, when we can just give you a little bit more information on it. But for now, that's just enough to keep you interested anyway. Little teaser. I like that one. It's a little teaser. But it is time that we just start to let Neil go, as we said. We are in the middle of his weekend. Neil, we love having you in the studio. Thank you for coming by this morning, and we'll look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thanks, Jack, and thank you, Andrew.
Good to see you, Neil.